All right, Cameron Vuong has defeated Jordan Flynn via seventh round stoppage. And yeah, to be honest, it was a good fight overall till when it lasts, well, for however long it lasted. I think it was always clear that Cameron Vuong was going to get the better of Jordan Flynn as the fight was going on. I think Jordan Flynn did very well in those first two rounds, and I gave him those first two rounds. Jordan Flynn was winning that third round as well until he got knocked down with a flash knockdown. Flynn was always looking promising, but he never ever looked fully settled in there from the off. Flynn was getting the better of Vuong early on, but it was always Vuong who looked settled in there and eventually was going to get his timing going. I think Vuong was just getting his timing going in, trying to set up his shots in that first, second round. Then eventually, for the majority of the third round, setting up his shots. But then he found the one that he wanted, which dropped Flynn. And I don't think Flynn was the same ever since when he did get dropped. I feel like it did come to effect. Oh, what if I step in again and get countered with a massive shot again? I think that is something that was going through Jordan Flynn's head quite a bit in that fight after he got dropped. And I think the issue with Flynn is that, he was leaning over his front foot quite a lot, and he was then getting countered. And that was going on from like round 3 and was leaning over a bit too much. And first and second round, I feel like it was some decent work from Flynn. He was landing the harder shots than what Vuong was early on. But again, no, it was a bit messy from Jordan Flynn quite a bit of times in that fight. There was never really any good, solid, clean work from Jordan Flynn. It was always Cameron Vuong, no matter what, landing the cleaner work, landing the eye-catching shots, which, were clean. And, Cameron Vuong's not a massive power puncher. It's just that his accuracy is very good, and he's very good at putting his punches right, in the right place. And with Flynn, I do think, his power is, I do think he's got power. I mean, obviously, he doesn't show that from his record whatsoever with one knockout out of 11 wins. But I feel like he's got something there. He's got some power in his hand. I just feel like he's so messy with what he does. Is something that I just think puts him back. And, we can get success, but he's so messy. I just don't think the timing of the shots are there for Jordan Flynn. And I don't think he sets his shots up very well at all. And I feel like at times, as it goes on, he gets too predictable. And that was clear in that fight with Cameron Vuong tonight. He got too predictable, and eventually Vuong was able to get his timing going. Flynn was always just walking right forward at Cameron Vuong. And to beat Vuong, you can't just walk straight on him, straight at him. Otherwise, you're just going to walk right onto that right hand. And that was what was happening in the end. Flynn just didn't really have any head movement and was just walking into shots. And to be fair to Cameron Vuong, he does talk a lot in the build-up to his fights, but he backed up everything he was saying. He was saying Flynn doesn't move his head too much at all. And Cameron Vuong, he was right. He ended up completely punishing Jordan Flynn for that. Vuong was the way fitter guy. He was able to, keep up a good pace for the majority of the fight. And it was definitely different from that Gavin Gwynn fight as well. Speaking of that, I do think we could probably see a rematch for that fight as well. Because I do think Vuong has still got another bit more of a point to prove there after, he beat Gwynn, but there's still a bit more of a point to prove. But I feel like he proved a point tonight with that win over Jordan Flynn. Like, this was a big fight in the making for a while that, they had to get done. And it eventually happened, and Cameron Vuong made easy work out of it. But yeah, I just feel like it's that straight right hand. When the timing got better and better and better for Vuong, he just became even more dangerous. And Flynn just wasn't able to handle it in the end. I think it all came behind the lead hand for Cameron Vuong. I think that was very good to see. I thought with Flynn, though, I thought like, he's able to dig into the body well a few times. But Vuong just didn't really care about what Flynn was giving to him because he was just too predictable with what he was doing. And just eventually Vuong knew he just needed to keep calm and just pick Flynn off, and that's what happened as the fight went on. Vuong is a very good back foot fighter who's very good at being on those ropes and just timing you very well with some big shots while he is on that back foot, or if he is being backed up on the rope. Vuong's just very good at staying calm and composed. With Flynn, he just rushes his work so much, and that's what you can't do that at the top level. And you can't do that up against a good up and comer like Cameron Vuong. You can't rush your work; you're gonna get caught. And at times, Jordan Flynn was either, getting caught leaning over his front foot and his when he was throwing his shots, or he just got caught square on when he was coming forward by Cameron Vuong, because Vuong's timing was just always on him no matter what. So, yeah, like there were many things that just generally let Jordan Flynn down in that fight. And look, as I said, he was getting success, but he was always going to end up getting timed onto massive shots, and that's what happened. You could always tell from a mile away. Once Vuong got his range all right, but behind that lead hander, was behind his jab, he was just able to completely pick Flynn off and just catch him coming in a lot of times. And Flynn had to take a few steps back and really rethink things. But eventually, Vuong kept on catching him, and it scrambled Flynn's head. I think, a real good key shot tonight that was really key in that win for Cameron Vuong was his uppercut. I mean, that was very, very, very good throughout. It was always on, and the commentators were saying from the very off that Flynn was open for that uppercut of Cameron Vuong. And it was very clear to see that he was. I mean, once Vuong got his first uppercut in, he couldn't miss every time he threw his uppercut. It was very rare once Vuong started throwing his uppercut that he'd miss with it. Like, you just didn't see Vuong miss with the uppercut that he was throwing. It was just very, very, very good. And it was deadly. There's power behind it. And again, as I've been going on about the timing from Cameron Vuong of it's very good and always getting it in the right place. And again, it was always snapping the head back of Jordan Flynn. It just scrambled his head massively. I mean, yeah, look, this is how I did score the fight. I think if I can even find it and get it up. Yeah, here we go. So I gave as I said, I gave the first two to Jordan Flynn. Then I gave round 3, 10-8 to Cameron Vuong. But Cameron Vuong was probably losing the third round, though. Then round 4, I gave to Vuong. Round 5, I thought Flynn probably nicked because he was rushing his more. I just feel like the rounds that Vuong didn't win, it's not because he was uncomfortable in there and, getting outclassed in those rounds. He was getting outlanded in those rounds. That's why I thought he was losing the rounds that he lost. He was always calm and composed, but he was just looking for the timing and, landing that big shot. He believed going into the fight he'd get that stoppage. And that's exactly what happened. He stuck to the game plan very well. He committed to his game plan. Cameron Vuong did, and it paid off massively. Then I thought Cameron Vuong won the 6th. And then, obviously got the finish in the 7th. There we go. Good win there for Cameron Vuong. I want to see the Gwyn rematch next. We know that's going to be a class fight. And after that, I wouldn't mind seeing him up against... I wouldn't even mind seeing him up against Mark Chamberlain, to be honest. It'd be interesting. But obviously, he's only had 8 fights. Let's wait and see. Thanks for watching.